Hey, hello everybody. I hope that all of you are doing super well. And today we have to talk about Marvel Tōkon once again, because the overall amount of information around Tōkon as a title has skyrocketed over the last few days, and there's so much that we need to go over. So in this video, I'm gonna try to give you kind of like everything that you need until the release of the game to understand what's going to happen over the last few months. So today we're going to be talking about a new article that just came out with information about the game, roster predictions, the addition of Peni, and even an announcement roadmap to kind of understand when we're going to get all the new trailers for the title. So let's get into it. Hey, and don't forget that if you want to see more content like this around Marvel Tōkon and other fighting game titles, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to support the channel. I would really appreciate it, and let's continue. Okay, so the first thing that we have to go over is this article. Okay, this is super new. It came out today, actually, some hours ago. And it is kind of like a developer interview in which the producer and developers of the game go over some key game modes and features that are really relevant that I want to talk about, okay? The first one is that they talk about Startup Battle Mode. And this is essentially kind of like a project that they have within Tōkon in which they want to have a game mode within the game that actually helps you to get into fighting games and learn the genre even if you have zero experience. I think that this is extremely important. Like the fact that these devs are thinking about how do we make people buy this game and actually learn the genre even if they know nothing about fighting games, but only within the constraints of our title. Because it has been always a big criticism to fighting games in general that the tutorials are not that good, right? That the overall tutorials of the games, even though they've gotten much better over the years, they're still kind of lackluster when it comes to learning from absolute zero. So we will see how good it is, but it is at least a positive thing. I would argue that they are thinking about that. Like that's something that they have in their minds when they were developing the title, okay? Really cool, super important. And then the other thing is that they talk about a game mode that they have not announced, and this is pretty amazing, and it is an online casual game mode. So they are actively thinking as well as to how we can give people that are casual or new into fighting games environments online in which they can play a very casual friendly experience. And it's not like it's just casual matchmaking, right? It's not like rank mode, but it says casual and it has the same matchmaking with a different pool of people. No, it seems to be a specifically kind of like a party game mode. So we are gonna see how it develops, what it ends up being, but I would argue that it is extremely important for the success of this game, the fact that the more news we get around it, the more it seems that it's going to be feature rich enough to appeal to an audience outside of the FGC. Like anybody that is actually a fan of Marvel games, or even the characters or the graphics and the style of the game, has a story mode to actually engage with the game in a lore perspective, right? On a more story-driven experience, which is always good for the casual audience. Then they're also gonna have a game mode that is going to teach them how to play fighting games even if they know nothing about them. And they're gonna have an online experience with this new casual online game mode that is going to be separated from maybe the more hardcore audience. I think that this is extremely positive, and all of these three features, game modes, whatever way you want to call them, are going to help the game a ton to reach a mass audience that's going to be within and outside the FGC. So I'm really happy with this news. I think that it's going to help the overall success of the game and the initial sales and maybe even the retention a ton. So really good job by the developers. We will see what it ends up being, but at least it's a very positive initial sign. And then the other thing that is also really cool and kind of relevant to talk about is that they go over their gameplay philosophy when it comes to changing the game, because the game got a ton of changes already since the second beta. We've seen the information on it, and also at the same time, they actually even release patch notes on their Discord, which is crazy for a game that is not even out. But they say on the article, like, we are going to hear the feedback from the community and we are going to apply it, but not everybody. And that is the best way that you can do it, in my opinion. Like, be open to hear the feedback from the people that play your game and want to play it, but do not just accept everything blindly, because there is people online that just want their characters buff, you know, the characters that they hate nerf, or they want the game to be in a way that appeals to them, but it's not necessarily kind of like fitting with the identity of the game as a title and as a project. So I think that they are on the sweet spot when it comes to changing and actually hearing the community. It feels really healthy and it makes a ton of sense for the future of the game. Just like they got, for example, Wild Assault removed from Guilty Gear. They said that openly the mechanic is gone. And that is very clearly a sign that they are hearing the community with the things that are relevant. So Really, really happy with that approach. And then the last part is that they are confident about the build of the game. They are saying like the game is done essentially, in the sense that we're not going to change it that much anymore. So we want people to play it and try it out. So there's a high chance that at Evo Japan, we're actually not only going to have the build at the event with Peni and everything playable with the changes, but at the same time, there might be a chance that we're going to get a new beta. I think that there is a very high chance that we're going to get an open beta before release with all the changes so that we can try the game out, because they feel more confident about all the gameplay loop now in comparison to before. Okay, so now let's actually talk about the roster of the game, because we got a new trailer. We know that Peni is on the game, that Spider-Man has a team that is kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy, but not. It's a mix, right, between like the Amazing Spider-Man and the Guardians. And, you know, Spider-Man took the shot and Star-Lord is on his team, okay? He sacrificed himself so that Star-Lord actually gets a team. So now we can maybe speculate a bit more about what's going to happen with the 3 teams that we have left and what characters could make it into them and what theme. So for example, the first obvious kind of thing to discuss is that the Doctor Doom team now is highly likely, even more chances, a villain team, right? Now that Star-Lord has a team and he doesn't need to be with Doom to be like a weird version of the Guardians or also some cosmic team, now Doom is highly likely just going to be villains. Now, the fact that the Spider-Man team is so like custom, it doesn't really have a lore, kind of like a reason behind it that is super strong. They just did whatever they wanted with it and mix multiple thematics. I think that the other teams are really hard to predict, because you can say, okay, now Doom can be a new version of the Cabal that has, for example, Magneto in it, Emma, and the Green Goblin. But they could also just make whatever they want, because they have shown that they are not really making it in the most lore accurate way necessarily. So I would argue that it's going to be really tough to even know what the teams are going to be. I would say that the one with Captain America is just going to be the Avengers in some way or form, because it is just too popular to not put the Avengers on the game. It is literally the face of Marvel in the last decade with the MCU and even more time. So it would be really weird to not have the Avengers on the game. But for example, what if I told you that they're gonna make a twist and they make the team in which Ghost Rider is the leader, the Avengers? Because one of the key things in the identity of Robbie Reyes as Ghost Rider is that he has been a significant part of the Avengers as a team in comparison to other Ghost Rider picks, like the older ones, right? So I think that anything can happen by this point. I feel much less confident on trying to predict anything, because they can just take whatever twist they want and make it in the way that they like, and that's it. So yeah, by this point, it really feels like they can do whatever they want with the teams. Like I said, maybe Ghost Rider, since it's Robbie Reyes, is actually the Avengers. Then Captain America team, what if it is, I don't know, Thunderbolts, and for some reason Captain America is actually the leader of that in this game, and then Iron Man is actually with Robbie on the team, and Captain America has like Bucky and I don't know who else, right? Then Doctor Doom can be the Cabal, but completely different from the comics, or it can be a completely new team of villains that just exists in the actual lore of the game, right? Also, maybe Ghost Riders, if it's not Avengers, which is this crazy idea I'm saying. What if the Ghost Rider team is the Defenders instead of the Midnight Suns, right? Like, there's so much that can happen that it is almost impossible, I would say right now, to predict it. They are literally just doing what they think is cool and what they believe is going to represent the style of their aesthetic and the characters that they want in the game. So the overall freedom that Sony and Marvel gave to ArcSys to make the roster is very clearly huge. Like, they're literally doing whatever they want, and I think that's very cool actually. It makes the roster much harder to predict, but at the same time, like, how are we even going to hit a couple of these characters and get them right? Like, it's pretty tough. Then the other thing that I wanted to talk about a bit is actually the addition of Peni. I've seen a lot of people online saying that they love Peni and other people that they hate it. For example, I put up a video reacting to the trailer because I was streaming the Art World Tour Finals with the Guilty Gear, Grand Finals, the trailer, and the Marvel Tōkon news. And I said in the video, like, I think that Peni looks cool, but it's not a character for me. I think that the robot design, for example, in Rivals is better than the one on Tōkon, but she's very obviously a character that fits Tōkon very well. Like, it's literally a Japanese Marvel fighting game, and Peni is pretty much like an American-Japanese character. It's like the mix in many ways, and it is a character from the Spider-Man universe that is in some way connected to Japanese culture and their imaginary, I would say. So thematically, it makes a ton of sense to put Peni on the game. And at the same time, for example, I said that I don't like it that much, or I don't care that much about it, but everybody should have an opportunity to get a character that they like. And when I say, for example, on my videos, like, maybe I don't like this design, I like this one better, it's just an opinion. and some people take it like I'm saying that you're wrong and I'm right. And it's just because it's social media, right? People get some crazy interpretations about what you say. But I think that people need to calm down a bit with like which characters they want to see in the game and what they expect from the roster, especially since Penny made it, because it's going to be maybe much more diverse than we think. And at the same time, is really trying to appeal to multiple types of people, because Penny is a character that appeals to a completely different audience than, for example, Captain America and Iron Man, right? And I think that they are really trying to use the 20 spots that they have in the roster to appeal to the most people possible, which again, it's cool. It's actually really good. Like there's a lot of diversity in the roster already, and it's probably the path that you should take. So if you don't like Penny, like it's fine. Like I don't like her that much. I don't care. She still looks cool, I think, but I would prefer other design. But that doesn't mean that it's something wrong or awful for the roster of the game and the future of the title. That's very kind of crazy to say. So if everybody is getting a character that they like, it's cool. And if there's a lot of people that like Penny and this design, I'm happy with that, because it means more people into the game, more people that want to give the game a try. And that's what I want. I want Fighting Games to do well, and this is one of my most expected titles. So I'm happy that Penny made it, because it seems like there is an audience that really likes her, and that's the only thing that matters. If you don't like her, you're gonna get another character that you like, and don't do a tantrum over it, right? So I think that Penny's a great addition, to be honest. Okay, and the last thing that we have to go over is going to be, I would call it an announcement roadmap about the future of the game all the way until release, because it is highly likely that we're gonna get a new Tōkon announcement or trailer almost once a month until August, and there's a ton of events in which that could happen, and it's relatively easy to predict where that's gonna be. So the first one is Evo Japan, okay? At the start of May, I think that Evo Japan has almost 100% chance to get a completely new team showed up at the event, and also a beta, because they want to actually let us play the game. So highly likely Evo Japan new trailer with team and beta. Then the other thing is that there is always, or not always, but very frequently, a mid-year state of play, okay? Sony state of play. And it tends to happen between May and July. Like it changes depending on the year. But if there's any Sony event in that kind of like range of months, there is going to be Tōkon in that state of play. 100%, like Tōkon has been present on every single Sony state of play since it was announced last year. So if there is a new one, Tōkon is going to be there, and highly likely going to get a new team, and maybe even like a story mode or game mode trailer, since the Sony State of Play has a really big reach when it comes to audiences in gaming. I think that it is the opportunity to show the more like feature-rich stuff that they have in the game with the story mode and other game modes. So highly likely, if there's a Sony State of Play, Tōkon is going to be there. And then last but not least, the other big event that might have Tōkon news is actually Summer's Games Fest, okay? That happens in June, if I'm not mistaken, and it is one of the biggest gaming events in the world in the entire year, and it is very close to the release date. So I would not be surprised if one of the teams that we have not seen yet actually gets announced at Summer's Games Fest instead of Evo Vegas, for example. Both things can happen, don't get me wrong. Like we could very easily get a trailer in Evo Vegas and also in Summer's Games Fest, but the date for those events is very close, and I think that they're just gonna kind of like choose the biggest one. And arguably, Summer's Games Fest to show a trailer with a team or something similar is much bigger than Evo Vegas. But maybe both events get something, and that would be kind of like the full roadmap from here to release when it comes to trailers. Evo Japan in May, then Sony State of Play between maybe May all the way to July, depends on if they do it or not and what date, and then also Summer's Games Fest and Evo Vegas in June. So that was the video, guys. A ton of things related to Tōkon, very crazy. Tons of new information. I'm super excited for the game. Let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen with Tōkon in the upcoming months, and which characters you want to see with the teams that we have not gotten yet. And thanks for watching. Keep enjoying Peni games, and see you on the next one. Take care.